The Open Circuit, A Tale of Two Futures. High above the city in a glass-walled boardroom, Alistair adjusted his silk tie. To him, the car was no longer a machine. It was a recurring revenue stream. By keeping the software proprietary and the parts unique, his company ensured that every squeak and rattle led the customer back to their authorized sanctuaries, where prices were non-negotiable and secrets were kept tight. Soren tried to connect his diagnostic tool to the Obsidian sedan, but the screen flashed a crimson "Access Denied." The manufacturer had lobbied hard against right-to-repair laws, arguing that safety and security required a closed system. In reality, they were building a wall around the hood, turning owners into permanent tenants of their own vehicles. Alistair spoke to his investors about the service horizon. He explained how planned obsolescence wasn't a flaw, but a feature. If a car could be easily fixed by anyone, the incentive to buy the next model would dwindle. Control over the repair was control over the timeline of replacement, a cycle that kept the assembly lines humming and the dividends growing. The waste was what haunted Soren. He walked through a graveyard of vehicles that were perfectly sound mechanically, but had been bricked by software updates or expensive, unavailable sensors. The industry's resistance to repair wasn't just a business model. It was an environmental tax that the world could no longer afford to pay. Alistair viewed the landscape differently. He saw data. Every sensor in the car reported back to the mothership, a treasure trove of consumer habits. Allowing independent repair meant losing the data stream. To Alistair, the right to repair was a threat to the very foundation of modern intellectual property, a breach in the fortress he had spent a career building. Then came the change. On the edge of the desert, a new shape appeared, aerodynamic, lightweight, and draped in solar cells. Lumen stood beside the three-wheeled vehicle, which looked more like a glider than a carriage. It wasn't just designed to move differently, it was designed to be understood. Lumen met Soren and didn't hand him a bill. They handed him a digital key. "This is an Aptera," Lumen explained. "We don't believe in secrets. If you want to fix it, we will give you the manual, the code, and the parts. It is yours to keep, not just to use until we decide otherwise." Soren looked at the tablet. Instead of "Access Denied," he saw beautiful, exploded diagrams of every component. He saw how the solar panels integrated with the battery and how the motors were designed for easy access. It was a philosophy of radical transparency, a direct challenge to the Iron Gate model of the city. As the sun set, the city lights began to flicker on in the distance. But Soren stayed in the desert with Lumen. They watched a fleet of solar vehicles silently charging under the fading light. The era of the closed box was ending, not by force, but by the simple, powerful idea that a machine belongs to the person who loves it enough to keep it running.